So today's video is going to be about the Reolink mobile and PC software. They also have it on the Apple side of things for the Macintosh computers. I'm not going to show that because the software is exactly the same and I don't have any screen capture software and I can't be bothered to install it to demonstrate to you because it literally is the same on the PC side of things. So I'm going to show you the steps that I took to install the software for all the different platforms. So we're going to just go to the App Store and the Play Store, type in Reolink. We're going to install all of these. I've already installed it on my Windows tablet. This is a desktop version of Windows, so this is how it would run on a regular PC running either 7, 8, or 10. I believe this is running 8 right now. So we're going to open these up. So basically, the way that these work is if your cameras are on the same Wi-Fi network if they're on the same network as your Wi-Fi, the cameras are going to come and pop up without having to type in any IP addresses. You don't have to scan any QR codes. You can if you need to. If you were to go in here and hit add, you can see here that it will show up a QR code scanner, but it is not a necessary thing. You can also enter it manually if you needed to. Say, for example, you took a picture and you want to write it down, you can add it manually. But this is so quick and easy that if you're on the same network, you can just breeze right through it. If you're in a situation where you're on a hard line network only, then your options would be to either scan the QR code or manually put in the peer-to-peer ID. So once you go in here, you're going to see all the cameras. Now these cameras have already been set up, so the labels will actually show. So you can see front, back, side, everything shows up. The only thing that it's requesting is that I put in a password. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually enter in the password now. And it might, if the username is different, the default username is admin. And I'm going to do the same thing here. So let's go here and I'm going to add my password. Okay, so now that I've added the password here to both units, what we're greeted here with is information about the cameras, such as device name. You can share it with somebody if you need to. You can turn on push notifications. So push notifications are pretty much the equivalent of like getting a message, like for example from Facebook or some sort of social media. It'll actually display it to you the same way instead of having to do it through an email, which is kind of handy so you don't have just this backlog of thousands and thousands of emails. Whenever motion is detected, it will just show up as a notification in your notification bar, like this, or in Android. So we can go into network. We can actually see what's going on in the network here. We can see the IP address, subnet, gateway, MAC address, DNS, all that sort of thing. And then we can go into different display settings in here, so we can actually see what the camera sees and where we want to have the on-screen display for the name of the camera and the time and date. We can flip the camera, mirror the camera. We can change the hertz for the depending on what country you're on. So if you're on in 50 hertz or 60 hertz or outdoor mode. We also can change day and night settings on how the camera will handle the lighting. You can do all sorts of different exposure changes and that sort of thing. The apps really seem to go very in depth as far as settings and what you're allowed to do. You could even change where the time and date and name of the camera's position, which is actually very useful. We can go in here and we can say if we want to actually have audio encoded into the video stream. So the cameras that I have here actually have microphones on them, and they're actually quite clear. So you can actually say that yes, I would like to have audio embedded into the video, and we can turn that on. Let's see here. Nope, we were just there. So we're going to go to quality. Now what's really nice is that you have 3 different settings for the video when you're actually streaming it into your device. You could either have it on clear, which is at the device's highest resolution, or whatever you specify. So right now I have mine at 2560 by 1440. That is the maximum resolution of the camera. So we can set that. I have it set to 20 frames per second. You don't have to. You could set it either higher or lower depending on what your liking is. I have a maximum bit rate of 16,144. For the fluent, that is the lowest resolution that I want the camera to go at, which would be 640 by 360, and that's set to 7 frames per second and 160 kilobits per second. Moving down the line here, we can actually go into the motion detection settings here, and we can actually say what the sensitivity we would like to have at certain times of the day here. So right here, you can see that it's set from midnight or 24 or 00, however you want to look at it. And it's set up right now to be from 5 o'clock, and we can actually set the different times, and it actually change the color. So you can change the sensitivity for different times of the day, which is quite useful. So if at night you want to have the push notifications to be more sensitive, or your notifications to be more sensitive, so that if there's motion detected somewhere on your property, that, like, say for example, after 8 o'clock or something, you want it to be more sensitive. But during the day, for example, if you have cameras out in the front of your house and you have cars going by, or you have people walking by, you don't want it to be as sensitive, making the push notifications or the email notifications going off more frequently. You can set it up to do email notifications. We have a password change right here, so if you need to update the password, you can do that. You can do email scheduling. So it's pretty much the same thing, just a little bit more granular, as far as now you can actually choose dates, and you can change the sensitivity for those days. There's a nice little copy feature, so whatever you do for one day, you can actually copy it across the board there. Again, more email settings. So if you want to do that sort of thing, you can put in all your different credentials for whatever emailing platform you use. Push notification again. So yeah, you can get it even more granular here for the push notifications for what days you'd like it to be active on. Again, with the copy feature at the bottom here. Like I say, everything that you see in this window here, I'm just using the iPad because it's a bigger screen and you can probably see everything a little bit more clearly. It is exactly mirrored on iOS to Android. Everything is exactly the same here, so whatever you see on one, you're going to see it on the other. Getting more into the system information, we can see the device name, the model, which I have set up the RLC-420. These are the cameras that I'm using. I've actually made another video about these cameras. If you guys like to see that, go through my playlist there and you'll see it. Let's go back here. You can go for the video standards, so we can go with NTSC, or we can go with PAL. I'm in the United States, so I'm going to go with NTSC. You can remotely reboot the device or factory default it if you need to. You could also delete this device from the app itself, which is kind of useful. For example, if you have a camera added and you give it to somebody else, or sell it, that it doesn't show up anymore, or try to show up in your device list. So that's kind of useful. So as you can see here, I have these other cameras that are not showing any previews on them. That is because I have not logged into them yet. This would look exactly the same if you had added the camera to the network for the first time. You would actually see it would be requesting the login. You'd have to put in the username and password for the first time, and then past that, you know, you're good to go. It'll just remember it and retain it. I was kind of disappointed, happy and disappointed all at the same time, because another company that I had used for many years was Foscam. Foscam had gone to almost like a login based system where they had it where you had to make a username and password. And I personally don't like to do things with usernames and passwords, because then you have to make accounts and all that other stuff. But the advantage is that if you had multiple users that were trying to have the cameras, like say for example, if you installed this for a business, you could actually have it where they had one login. They'd log into the app, and then anybody that logged into the app, all the cameras that were added to the system would automatically show up. You wouldn't have to say, hey, give me your phone for every user. I need to enter everything in. It would just automatically do it, and you could even add things off-site and they would reflect onto the system automatically, which was a nice feature. However, you were only allowed to have 3 simultaneous viewings of that account at one time. So you could not have more than 2 or 3 people looking at a account at the same time, which is a big hindrance. Not saying that everybody's going to have 3 different people on their phones looking at it at the same time, but I did have an instance where I had installed Foscam for a customer of mine, and they said, hey, you know, every time that we try to log in, it says it's unavailable. Well, what happened was we had 2 people that were logged in that were just having their phone just sitting there, and then the third person was actively trying to actually get in and look at something, and they couldn't do it because 2 other users were on there. The nice advantage of this setup, the way that it's set up, is that there is no master account for all the devices. It's each camera can be added to anybody's device individually, and they can look at it as many users looking at it at one time, and so that's just a difference. Anyway, getting back to this, so that's basically what you get with the Android and iOS. It's the same across both platforms, very easy to use. Again, if you need to manually enter a camera, you can do it with the QR code scanner here, or you can manually enter the peer-to-peer ID if need be. Moving on to the PC side of things, you can see here that, again, all the devices have automatically been added to the system. The only thing that it's requesting is that I put in the password. So I'm going to do that right now. So just give me a second here. Okay, so basically I've got the PC software set up here. And basically what's going on is we have one of the cameras set up over here. The different information that you're going to get with this is you can do the audio of the camera itself, so you might be able to hear this. There's nothing really going on out there, but you have volume control here. You also have multi-view, so if you have multiple cameras, you can have a multi-view going on. We've just got the one camera here. It shows the time and the date, just like it does on the app, and it shows the name of the camera. So going into some of the settings here, we can do pretty much exactly everything that we've done previously in here. There's nothing really gained or lost. There might be a little bit more fine-tuning here as far as the exposure, contrast, hue, saturation, and so on. If we go down the list here, we've got some more of the advanced settings. Again, you might gain a little bit more as far as the control with how the backlight and the dynamic ranges is handled and that sort of thing. And then we can do things with video clip settings, so that's pretty much just changing the size and the shape of what you're looking at here. We can go in here, and there's again, more details of pretty much the same thing. So we can go into the performance. This was actually kind of useful, is we can go in on the PC side of things. And again, everything that you see on the PC side of things is directly mirrored on the Mac side of things. Everything that you see here is exactly the same over there, which is fantastic. So looking here, we can actually see the CPU load of the camera itself and what bit rate it's actually outputting, which is kind of useful, so that if you have a camera that's actually acting kind of slow, because maybe you have a whole bunch of users that are on it, you can actually look at the load of the camera and actually get a good idea of what's going on. So that's actually a very useful tool here in the performance aspect. You can go in here and you can actually add users. I don't believe you can do that on the Android and iOS. So in here, in the PC app, you can actually go in here and add and change users and credentials, which is quite useful. Again, add, use, manage, that sort of thing. Now, let's see here. So motion detection. Right here, you actually have a grid that you can set up for the motion detection. So in the PC software, you can actually declare what section of the screen you would like the motion detection to be activated on, as well as the sensitivity with time and date. We actually saw that with the little clock earlier. Here it's a little bit less graphical, but it's pretty much exactly the same. This part right here with the grid is actually very useful. So if anybody's wanting to install this and they have, for example, they have a street and they want it to only have recording or notifications when somebody walks up the driveway, you can set that up in here, so that, you know, regular cars going by won't affect it. Going back here, again, more on-screen display settings. You can name the camera where you want those to be put respectively on the screen there. Status, again, same thing. Information, general. Again, it's all the same thing. You can synchronize the time of the device to whatever device you're looking at here. Now, the PC software is set up where you can actually set it up to record to whatever computer you're running. So, for example, the cameras have no onboard storage for recording. Some other camera manufacturers have that. These models of this camera don't have that capability. So if you don't want to spend the extra money, if you only wanted, like, say, for example, one camera and you didn't want to have their recorder, you want to save some money, you can run this software and set it up in here to record locally. So I have it set up right here where the record path is the internal hard drive of the computer. You can do that. Obviously, I'm not recording to this tablet. I have another computer that I have dedicated for recording these sort of things. Going in here, you can set it up to do a alarm beep that will actually set a sound alarm on the device whenever motion is detected. I'm not going to turn it on because it's very annoying, but just take my word for it. Again, with the record settings, you can say the maximum size that you would like to have it record to the device so it doesn't fill it up all the way. You can also say what the duration of the recording should be. Right now it's set up to 5 minutes. So you can set how big the file will be, or you would like it to allow it to record, as well as tell it what resolution you want it to record at. So I have it set to clear, which is the maximum resolution, which we saw earlier, along with the post-record time. So after the event has triggered, it will record for 15 seconds after that motion has stopped. I don't see any settings in here in this software to do pre-recording, but looking at some recordings that I've done in the past, it does seem that it has about a 5 to 10 second pre-record time in all the videos, so I haven't had any problems with not capturing the beginning of whatever the motion was. So if that's any concern to anybody to have the pre-record time, I have not had an issue with it. It seems like there is, like I say, about a 5 to 10 second pre-record time in there. So getting into the playback, basically what you would do is you would go, now there's no, I can't show it to you on this device, but essentially the playback, I originally thought that the playback was for the videos that were recorded to the device locally. They're not. So what had happened is this playback window, unless something gets changed in the future, this playback is meant for their NVRs. It's not meant for the onboard recording, and I was kind of disappointed in this. But it makes sense from a financial standpoint. On Reolink's standpoint, is this playback is only for their NVRs. So unfortunately, you're not going to see the nice graphical layout of where the motion was at what time of day on what day. This is only for any of the devices that have recording capabilities. These cameras do not record to themselves, so you can't pull them up. This would only be mainly meant for the NVRs. So the way that you would actually go about playing back video is you would go into your files on the local system, rather be on Windows or Apple, and what you would do is you would go into the file, and there's just going to be a whole bunch of files with a whole bunch of names on them, and you're just going to kind of have to sift through them to find the video that you want. So it is a benefit to get the NVR as opposed to using the software with these cameras, simply because then you would actually be allowed to use this graphical interface. Again, I believe that they didn't allow you to do this on the PC simply because they want you to buy their recorders, which is fine. I mean, they're $400 recorders, and to be honest with you, it's worth it for that. And you don't have to worry about your computer being turned off accidentally. You know, the NVRs, they're a low power consumption appliance that you can put somewhere in your house, and it runs completely headless. You don't need to have a screen on it. You know, you can just put it somewhere, it does its job, and that's that. So getting back to the live view here, we can zoom in on things if we need to, you know, that sort of thing, so we can actually see, you know, license plates and all that sort of thing. You know, for reflective devices like this, license plate and retro reflectors on vehicles, it probably won't let you see the license plate if that's any concern to you about reading license plates. That's simply because these cameras have infrared LEDs. That's just the reflection from the infrared. That's pretty much it. This is hopefully a decently thorough rundown of how the software is handled both on the Android, the iOS, and the Windows. Again, this is mirrored on the Mac, so you're not getting left out with any features really. Everything is mirrored across the whole ecosystem here. The only thing that I could say that you're gaining with the on PC or the on Apple software is that you can see the load and the throughput of the device that you're trying to look at, which would be useful if the camera has any problems where you see that it's constantly glitchy or laggy, that it might be inundated with too many users. You can also add users from the PC / Apple side of or Macintosh side of things, or OS X, however you want to look at it. Those are features that you're gaining. Also, you can set what the detection area is on the PC and Apple side of things, on the I should say the desktop side of things. So you can't change the detection area, but you can change the sensitivity of the overall area that's being detected. You have to do that in here. Other than that, for just quick setups, you can run everything through the mobile device platform. That's what I've done pretty much through and through, all these devices have been set up and configured in the mobile side of things. If I wanted to, and I think I did on my recording computer, I have it set up where it does not get affected by the roadway here. So I have it set up so that from the sidewalk back, it will record, and you can mess around with those settings. Again, I'm sorry this is a very long video, but and I tried to make it as fast as possible. The thing is that there's so many settings to go through that it's kind of hard to make it into a 5-minute video and not leave anything important out, because if you're going to be buying these devices, you want to know what you're buying, what kind of features you're getting, and hopefully this was a good insight on what you're going to be buying in the future, what features they get, and what my opinion is on it. So thank you to everybody for watching. If you have any comments, please let me know down below. I look forward to reading them. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, I said that I was actually going to make a video about the software, and some of my viewers were actually interested in seeing the software side of things. So thank you to those viewers, and I'll see you guys on the next one.